and welcome to Sandwich Seniority. I'm Robbie Haig, your host, and it's my pleasure today to speak with Massachusetts State Senate President Therese Murray. Hi, Terry.
Hello.
It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
And I like to start off the Seniority Show by you talking a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Let's see. I've lived in Plymouth since 1973.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter who I obviously love very much.
Yes.
I was a single parent for a long while. She's off on her own now and has been for a few years. I have two grand dogs.
Oh, wonderful.
I love to walk. Mm-hmm. That's my exercise. I try to do it if I'm home or early in the morning. I go down by the Plymouth waterfront, and that way
Wonderful.
I can also check out to see if the park's been picked up and how things look, particularly in the good weather when we have all our tourists come down.
Sure. I'm so glad you're interested in watching what's happening.
Yeah, I am, and
Well, I do know that.
Well, lots of friends involved in many activities, as you know, in the area. I've been on the board and now vice president of Pilgrim Hall Museum for many years.
Very good.
And I'm pretty active. I have a high energy level, and
You are pretty active. And we have a lot happening in the Plymouth and Sandwich areas to keep you busy, too. Could we comment a little bit on prescription drugs?
Mm-hmm. Yes. As you know, the cost of prescription drugs continues to rise. So
it's amazing.
It is amazing. And so what we've done this year is allowed prescription coupons from the various companies that offer them. So seniors for the first time will be able to get and use those prescription drugs as long as it's not for generic.
Really?
Yeah, so for so many diseases, and that we'll make sure that there's no bait and switch, that you get it today, but you'll pay more tomorrow. So we were very careful in how we address that. But and also for seniors who take advantage of the 90-day scripts, not doing 30 days, you get a much better discount by ordering through the 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Sure, and it's wonderful to be able to have 90 days on hand instead of worrying from month to month. And the Councils on Aging, I know you're very interested in our seniors, which you've shown over the years. And we're now in the Plymouth area going to have the dedication of our new Council on Aging building.
Very, very exciting. We opened the new Council on Aging building in Kingston last year, which is a LEED building, which means it's environmentally, technologically tops.
Right.
And Plymouth is just going to be so amazing and so much bigger. I mean, we've been in borrowed space for such a long time.
Right.
And they're going to have our own space, and it's right next to the brand new high school. And the new high school has a walking track up above the basketball courts and gym.
Yes.
So seniors will be able to use that in the posted hours. We'll be able to get up there and use that track also, and be indoor, in a nice, a controlled atmosphere. So they won't be outside, and they'll still be able to get exercise, but being right next to the high school is going to be intergenerational. It's going to be really awesome.
It's about time we reintroduce the children and the grandparents, and I think that's a wonderful thing also.
Well,
Can't wait.
They also, just like Kingston, they have like a porch. And there are rockers on the porch that overlook the ball fields, so you can sit. They're going to have the best view in town for all the night games too, and all the day games.
And Sandwich will be watching also because they're hoping to get a new building here.
I'm very supportive of. They really need a new building. They've done a great job, doing work on the one they have. but it's not enough. You have too many more seniors now living here that are in need of services, and Boomers aren't. It's not like the bingo of old, and you know, come just get your nutritious lunch.
No.
It's a lot more than that. Everybody's connected. Pretty much everybody wants to be on a computer or figure out how to use an iPad, and they want to do, you know, different types of exercise groups or walking groups or book groups, or, you know, it's much different than it was in the past. So the other COAs have acknowledged that. I know Sandwiches desperately wants to do that, and I want to be able to help them do that.
And when the seniors went from the old building into Cordage Park, they didn't think they would be filling that up, but they were surprised immediately.
Very surprised with the type of services that they provide each and every day, and the list of things. You know, as they're going into the new building, they sent out a survey. What do you want to see us provide? And they'll be using that survey to base their services in the future.
Excellent. And you know, I've been saying this for a long time too, that seniors are no longer old people.
No.
We don't sit. There are no rocking chairs in our kitchens anymore. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
Well, it is, because they, you know, traditionally, or going back, you know, many years, generations grew up together. Right. Grandparents were in the house, along with the parents and along with the children. So it was a natural for children to grow up that way. Right. Now grandparents work until in their 70s.
That's right.
Some older, some longer than that. And kids are so busy and so programmed that they don't get to see them as often.
It's true.
Anymore. And parents are busy working, just trying to make ends meet. So trying to do some intergenerational programs, I think, would be great.
And having the school and the Council on Aging is just a brilliant idea. Could you talk to us about the Valor Act?
That is an act we passed this year. It was the idea of Senator Rush from West Roxbury. He had actually been contacted. It's so amazing you can be at war and still be able to stay in contact with us. But he was serving a year in Iraq in 11. And was in constant contact with us and said, I want to file this bill, and I want to do more in the way of jobs for veterans and connections for veterans when I get back. So we had been saying right along as he was away, when you come back, let's sit down and we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what the needs are. And he did a great job. We worked with him and crafted a really good bill. And it allows for a couple of things for the jobs that you do in the service while you are deployed, or while you're still in the service. You should be able to get credit, educational credit, or some kind of job credit for those when you come home, so you don't have to start at the beginning. Right. If you're an electrician in the Navy or the Army, and you come home, you should be able to use that towards your journeyman or something. Or get some credits for that at school. You know, if you're a Class C truck driver, you should be able to be a Class C truck driver when you get home. Sure. And those was just a couple of small points for it, but
it's kind of like a certification sort of thing for jobs.
It is, because the cost coming back for them was enormous to start out and trying to find jobs. In Plymouth, the veterans have also got a Vet Connect. They've connected via the internet, and it's vet to vet. It's called vet to vet, and they are using their own Facebook postings to connect veterans who come into the Career Services program and are looking for jobs with people who have veterans who have jobs, who have companies that are looking to fill those jobs, and it's it's becoming a really great success. But Michael had a really good job, and I'm just trying to, It also makes it easier for children of military personnel who transfer, like the children on the base here, to be transfer their credits, make sure they get all of their credits no matter what school system that they transfer to, and those children who are transferring here from out of state, that we take those credits also, so that they don't have to make things up. When we ease the cost of housing, utilities, and medical costs for Gold Star families, and expands the eligibility for the Medical Relief Fund. We also give additional funds for burial expenses for veterans and for active duty service members also.
And I haven't really thought a great deal about this, but it just crossed my mind that the people who are going into the service, chances of their jobs being waiting for them when they get back are slim, I'm sure.
Well, there is a law that says that you have to provide them with something when they come back. But frequently people get around that, and because of the down economy, those jobs were eliminated, and there wasn't a job to come back to.
Right. Well, I think we all know what a wonderful job you have done with the Veteran Services in Plymouth.
Well, we're very excited.
Yes.
Everyone is very excited. We've been trying for 20 years to get a clinic, both in the Cape, which now we have one in the Cape, but in Plymouth. We have 40,000 veterans in Plymouth County. 40,000 veterans. And we needed someplace so they didn't have to go to West Roxbury.
Sure.
And there's no transportation, by the way, to West Roxbury.
Right.
Or to Brockton. There's no transportation to Brockton. So we now have a clinic on Long Pond Road that we're very excited about. And within that clinic, too, there is a women's clinic for women veterans.
Wonderful.
And there's also telehealth there, which means there's a kind of a robotic screen where the doctor or the nurse practitioner in the clinic can talk directly to the doctor in West Roxbury or Brockton, and have the doctor talk to the patient who is in the clinic, so you don't have to make that trip.
Very good. Oh, that's wonderful. One of your constituents asked me to ask you this question. What is it like, what is the feeling of working in a man's world, as you have been doing for so many years?
I was just going to say, I've been doing that my whole career.
So it's not really a man's world to you.
No, and we do have 11 women now.
Very good.
I was only the 16th woman ever elected to the Massachusetts Senate.
Wow.
The first, as you know, the first woman president. But
Yes.
before that, I was director of mitigation for Mass Highway, so I was frequently for years the only woman at the table, and before that, with worked for private cable companies, and again, the only woman at the table. So it's kind of been a career thing for me.
Sure. I would like to talk to you about payment reform. Would you expound upon?
Well, this was the fourth bill we've passed regarding health care. The first was in 2006 when Governor Romney was here. And that was to give, and we gave access to everyone, took care of pre-existing conditions, allowed children to stay on their parents' health care till they were 26. And then the second thing we did was electronic medical records and uniform billing. The uniform billing, which kicked in January, will save us $1 billion over 10 years, so that every insurance agency and provider has to use the same billing code.
Yes.
Simple, right? But it
Simple.
wasn't so simple. Nobody wanted to do it. It took us 3 years to get everybody at the table to agree to all of these codes. So if you have your knee done and you have Blue Cross, the code is the same thing if you have your knee done and you have Harvard Pilgrim. And that way the providers don't lose money when they submit the bill and say, oh, wrong code, or you're going to have to pay, and you get the bill and you say, wait a second, I have insurance.
Right.
And you have to go back to your insurance company and they say, oh, they used the wrong code. You have to go back to your provider. They're not getting their money in time, and you're getting this frightening bill saying that you have to pay.
Right.
So that hopefully will cut down on that. That was the second thing we did along with eHealth. And because we set up an eHealth Institute then, when there was federal money available to set up this for eHealth, Massachusetts got the bulk of that money because we were way ahead of the rest of the country.
Yes.
And we are able to give that to providers also to help them connect their institutions or their offices electronically. And then the third thing was a small business relief healthcare fund, where we allow businesses to aggregate and bring their costs down. That's worked, and this is the last piece, is payment reform. And that means that providers and insurance cannot use 90% of insurance dollars have to go for medical care. Imagine that.
Wow.
And we only allow the growth on the provider level to be tied into the CPI. So we're trying to hold the growth down, to keep the costs down, but changing the model by saying, okay, we're going to pay you more. Instead of just treating you when you're sick, your doctor's going to see you, and he's going to treat you when you're well. And it's preventive medicine. It's keeping you well.
Right.
And reaching out if you have had an illness to make sure you don't end up back in the hospital, because people will be reaching out to you to make sure you, what's your blood pressure, what's your, if you're diabetic, what's your blood sugar today, what's your weight today, what's your heart rate today, all connected electronically, or through, if you can't do that, through someone who will be reaching out to you. Did you take your medications today?
Right.
Did you take the pink, blue, whatever pills? Or, and a lot of that is through, is going to be electronically connected with people, and these are the new healthcare jobs, reaching out on a daily basis to a number of patients and keeping them well and keeping them at home instead of in a nursing home or in a hospital where the cost is so much more.
And we've come a long, long way.
We certainly have, and that's why you see the utilization of the hospital beds going down and down, because they're providing care more in an outpatient setting.
Excellent. And I would like to know, and I'm sure you have an opinion, on the one of the bills that's coming up with this upcoming election, the end of life.
The dignity with death.
Yes, dignity with death.
I have not made up my mind on that yet. It's very personal. You know, I sat with my mother and my dad and friends. Right. So it's kind of hard to get there. You want to give everybody the options and the freedoms, but are there enough controls? And do you take this by yourself? If you're given a prescription, you're going to be all alone when you do this.
Right.
I just have a lot more questions.
Yes.
And concerns. So I think, honestly, till I get in the booth, I don't know how I'm going to vote.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it could go so many different ways.
We need better hospice care. We need better palliative care. Yes. I mean, I've seen this with two friends very recently who passed, that they were in horrible pain. Their pain wasn't controlled. Right. And sitting there and holding their hands and watching them, it's very painful.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't necessarily want to go.
Right.
But they needed their pain taken care of. They needed palliative care. They needed hospice care.
But for those who really have been in pain for a long period of time, I think that might be a little different situation. We need them to be able to say what they wish and have it be followed through.
That discussion should take place.
Yes. All
the time. End of life discussions should take place all the time. It's hard to do with your families. I know I've just lost a good friend this past week, and want to sit with my daughter, talk about what all the arrangements you make, and she's saying, "Mom, you're being morbid." She doesn't want to talk about it, but I need to have everything in place for her. You do, and I've been doing the same thing, and I refuse to let my daughter tell me it's morbid. It's not. It will be good when everything has been handled, and you don't have to worry about, my goodness, we should have talked. And I'm afraid that does happen with a lot of people. I wanted to ask you also about, I've been involved with people who have been going to charter schools, and we've had a new charter school open up on the Cape here, and they seem to be absolutely thriving. I just visited the Sturgis School.
Yes, it's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah, they're doing a great job down there. But I also just came back, just before I came here, from the Lawrence School in Falmouth, which is an innovation school, a public innovation school. Oh. And in 1 year of being a public innovation school, they're in the top one for MCAS results.
Isn't that wonderful?
And it's because the parents, the school committee, the teachers, the faculty, the superintendent, the principal, all have input, and the students have input.
Excellent.
The enthusiasm at the school today was just amazing.
Wonderful.
Really amazing. All the kids are smiling. They're having fun, but they're also learning more. And then for this next session that they're going into, we had the convocation for them today. They'll be adding more STEM, more science, technology, engineering, and math courses, more advanced placement courses. But they're doing it. They have flexibility. They've added flexibility to their system.
Wonderful. I've heard you mention STEM before, and I thank you for.
Sorry, I should always explain those.
No, that's wonderful, because I hadn't heard it before, and when you say it, it's good to hear. Well, I wonder, we love you here, but I wonder, you're doing such a fantastic job in Massachusetts. Would you ever think of going to Washington to show them how to do it right?
No. They are dysfunctional. Very dysfunctional.
At the very least.
And really, really need to sit down and work with each other to make sure that this great country doesn't further slide economically, that we have so much, there's so much here that we could be doing. And the squabbling and bickering and finger pointing and had our bond rating lowered. The greatest country in the world has our bond rating lowered because people can't sit at the table and come to yes and can't compromise.
It's embarrassing.
It's insulting to the American people.
You're very right, it is. But you would never dream of leaving us.
No.
Well, there's no doubt that you're going to be a shoo-in.
Well, I hope that the people will consider voting.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all. I mean, you have been very much a part of our lives for a long period of time. How long have you been in this business?
I've been a senator this is my 10th term.
Wow. Isn't that wonderful? Doesn't that say it all?
It goes by very quickly.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Very, very quickly.
I'm sure it does. What would you like to see happen within the next term?
We really have to address our higher ed, the cost of higher ed.
Yes.
People are coming out with such terrific debt, both for private and public colleges. But if there's a way for us to put more funding into the public end of that, so that our kids, because it's proven that our young people who go to public universities here, in our public colleges here, stay here. They don't move.
Which is what we want.
And that's what we want. And we want to make sure they get the best education possible with the lower costs that we can possibly provide for them. So we really have to do a better job there. And I'm hoping that as the economy is picking up and getting better, that we'll be able to put more funds in those areas. And of course, job creation. If they're trained, if our young people are trained for the jobs that are here for today and tomorrow, more companies will come here, more will expand here, and more jobs. And we already have a great quality of life. That always rates number one.
Yes.
Quality of life here. We have just look at the Cape. We have all the cultural institutions. We have history. We have art. We have music. We have philharmonics, symphonies. You name it, we've got it. Plus our beautiful beaches and waterfronts and ponds and lakes. And so if we can get our energy costs down, which we've now addressed, and keep our healthcare costs down, we're going to be the place that hopefully people are going to want to stay.
Very good. I know there are not a lot of jobs out there, but you had addressed the fact that there were jobs that are not filled because people are not ready for them.
That's correct.
We don't hear of any on-the-job training, or very little of it. Does that happen?
With this new curriculum that we've put in place with the community colleges and the high schools, we did a pilot in Boston. The Cape is now kind of involved in that also, and we want to do that now, spread that out with businesses and high schools and community colleges, so that the kids spend their summers, say, in the lab at Cape Cod Hospital. The community college students spend their time, who are going to be nursing students, in the lab at Cape Cod Hospital, and eventually get their Bachelor's of Science through UMass Dartmouth. So there's some connections there, but they're getting paid, they're getting experience while they're there. And then once they are in the college for their nursing program, again, on the floor of Cape Cod Hospital or another hospital. So they're getting on-the-job training also while they're continuing to get their degree. We're doing that in the labs up in Boston for techs, lab techs. We hope to expand that. Some of the defense companies are involved also, and financial companies at the community college level. You're doing an internship. You're also getting mentored while you're there. So it's training, it's internship, it's mentoring, and you're paid.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, it seems to be a long time since the hospitals were actually training nurses within themselves. So it's nice that they're...
Yeah, well, it's not so. I mean, we're doing partnerships at Western Mass. We're doing that because the universities have gone to Bachelors of Science and then Masters in nursing. The old model of the hospital nursing school has kind of gone away. The RN school. We still have some RN schools. We've got a great LPN school at the Voc Tech School.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And those and want to move those people again into, if they want to become RNs, into the other programs.
Well, if we're going in the right direction.
We are going in the right
direction.
We are going in the right direction.
And I also must mention that I love the fact that you are involved with Republicans and Democrats, and it's always been such a wonderful thing when there is a get-together and these people come to yours and you go to theirs. I've always enjoyed that.
Well, our delegation is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, we really have a good delegation, and we work together to make sure we get the things done for our communities and for the whole Commonwealth. But if if a town manager calls and says, we need this, or we have a home rule petition coming through town meeting, well, that part of the delegation that covers that town works with me, and we make sure that we get that moved through the legislative process as quickly as we can.
Wonderful. Maybe there would be some way we could invite people from Washington to come here and see how hometown does it. I don't think they'd be willing,
I don't
do you?
think they would either.
No. Well, it's been wonderful talking with you, Terry.
Thank you.
And the information you've given us is really wonderful. And I appreciate you doing this with me.
Well, thank you, Bobby. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. And thank you all out there for watching. And hope to see you again soon on Sandwich Seniority. This is Robbie Haig saying bye.